this is FOS from Heroine and Altamont and a few other things. I agreed to do this Slap Pals questions, so I'm going to answer a few of those and we'll see what they've got. I've been in the mountains for a week, so I haven't had a look at any of the questions, so I don't know what's coming. So we'll see how stupid it is and how much people hate me. Alright, Monkey McPott said, tell us the history between you and Lev Tanju. What do you think about his Palace comment? If you turn yourself pro, you turn yourself into some weird FOS type dickhead. Well, that's rich. To me, that just looks like someone's running out of ideas for their catalogue, same way they ran out of ideas for board graphics. Alright, tell us about when Altamont went through its logo change. No, I wasn't really involved in any of that, so I don't know. It's not really my place to talk about it. It's just like, I was involved in that brand from the start, and then they decided at some point that it had a few different sort of brand directors, and at some point they decided to change their logo and get into like not skate shops, and nothing to do with me. It was all whoever was in charge of it. But it seems like they're trying to get back to where it was, but we'll see. So before Polar Ponsal was going to ride for Heroine, we talked about it. He came to my house. He stayed at my house in London for a bit. And it was sort of an idea that we were both sort of talking about, and then in the end I think we both decided that it was like he should just do his own brand, and I helped him, I gave him the contacts for factories and things like that and advice, and we used to talk a lot. We used to talk like every night on the old iChat and all that, so no, it looks like it was the right thing to do. Hello, Pontus. What happened to the Heath Kirchhoff Pirate Radio episode that never aired? That was a podcast. It was for a radio show that I was doing called FOS FM, and that was actually an idea that Patrick O'Dell had for Altamont. And they wanted to do an Altamont radio thing, play music and interview people. So I started doing that. And then Soltec, who was the distributor and sort of manufacturer of Altamont, were like, their legal department was like, what are you doing? You can't do this. You're playing songs and you don't have the rights for them, and we're going to get sued. So it sort of transitioned from there, and we found this pirate radio station, and I just ended up sort of taking the whole thing and doing these pirate radio station interviews, and it was really fun. But the Heath one was a podcast that we recorded with Randy from No Age in his studio, and it got corrupted somehow. And I also did one with my friend's band the same afternoon, Woo Life, this really good band from Manchester, Ramsbottom, and they both got corrupted, so they never saw the light of day. But the Heath one was fun. We had a blast and got to hang out and talk for an hour, so that was good. But it'll never see the light of day. Dearman is in the crowd in the famous Reynolds frontside flip photo that Atiba shot.
That's right.
He is. You can flash up a thing of that. Yes, Dearman is in the crowd unmasked. So that's all I'm going to say about it. Why did you decline to take the job as art director for Zero? It was in 2002. I went over for a month. I did some work at Zero with Jamie, and I just felt like it wasn't the right thing for me to be doing. I just was about to start Landscape Skateboards from the UK, so I wanted to focus on that really, rather than get up and move to America and do all that stuff. It wasn't the right time, but I ended up here now, didn't I? Heroine is a very provocative brand name. Thank you. Has this helped or hurt your t-shirt sales? I'd say both. There's people in the world who are like, that is appalling, why would you call your brand that? And then there's people who are like, that's the coolest shit ever. So, you know, I'm interested in the fact that I'm never going to be able to sell out. Like, we're never going to be in, I don't know, like all these like chain stores or like, you know, we're never going to be the next big like thing. So it's interesting to me. It sort of keeps it it keeps it grounded in some ways, I think. Favorite graphic you drew? I'm very torn with that question. It's a good question. Thank you for asking, Ciota. I'm quite torn. I really, really like, I don't know if you can see it, there's an Antoine Dixon print behind me. His Black Jesus board, that was a real honour to draw that, a real pleasure. And I really like the fact that I got to do the primitive Frankie Villani board. So, torn between two of those. Flip a coin, you know. Favourite graphic you didn't draw? Good question. I really like, you know, when I think of skateboarding and when I started skateboarding, it was like 1986 in Northern England. The Roscott face by Jim Phillips is really iconic to me. It just was like, whoa, that is serious artwork. And it was like, it sort of brought an awareness of art and skateboarding being sort of merged for me. So maybe that would be good. Slimeball's logo is great. Any Jim Phillips work is so good. His line work is impeccable. It's incredible. What's the future for Heroine? Just keep on doing it until it's not fun. Right now it's fun. We've got a couple of new riders that get announced Halloween. We're working on a new video that I'm really stoked about. I've cleared a couple of songs already. It's great. I'm really, really, really hyped on everything right now. We're in a really good place. So I'm just having fun with it. So keep doing that. How much did Primitive pay you to do Frankie's first Promodel graphic? Should I answer that? Alright, well, fuck it, okay, I'm going to answer it. Usually, the going rate in the skateboard industry for a graphic is $500. Primitive were nice enough to pay me $7 for that particular piece. And I hope they don't mind you telling me that. So, yep, there it is. That's what I got. Okay, Feedmeseymour, good reference. Little shop of horrors. Would you rather shoot heroin or smoke bath salts? Well, I'm straight edge, so neither. What made you choose that name in the first place? Alright, here we are. We get down to it. 1993, me and my friend Hero started a t-shirt brand called Superhero. And this was in England. It was a tiny little thing. We never had any ads or riders or really anything. And it was just this cool little t-shirt company that we just had fun doing because I didn't really see any other t-shirts that I liked at the time. So we did this thing, and then that lasted for a few years. We sold in skate shops and things like that. So it was like this really funny little brand that I was just like, I think there should be a Jack Kirby graphic on a t-shirt. So we do a few of those, or we do like some Japanese like monsters or something. But it seems funny because we were doing it so long ago, and now like you can buy that shit everywhere. But there was nothing like that at the time. Everything was like, it was in a weird place. Everything was trying to be like alluding to sort of drug use, like weirdly. The names, like, I don't know, they were all these stupid names. So yeah, we just did this little t-shirt brand, and then that ended. We were both like big fans of Anti-Hero when it came out, you know, like the Chris Johansson art, Todd Francis, Sean Young, Stranger Cardial, you know, that was kind of like what we were really stoked on. So it seemed to be, you know, we had this company called Superhero, and then there's this company called Anti-Hero. So we were like, well, let's knock it on the head. We're not really making t-shirts anymore anyway. So we stopped doing it. Okay, and then I was always wanting to do some sort of board company somehow. And then I broke my wrist skateboarding. I'd done graphics for Toy Machine at this point. And I broke my wrist skating, and I went to hospital. And I'm straight edge. I don't really harp on about the straight edge thing, but I don't do drugs or smoke or drink or any of that shit. It's just personal choice. So I went to hospital, and I was in hospital for 4 days, and I broke my wrist. My wrist was up in the cast, and I was waiting for pins to get put in my wrist. And I was like, on the way to the hospital, I was like looking out the window for skate spots. Like, I was like, oh yeah, those banks, I've never seen those before. I want to get better. And then while I was in hospital, my girl broke up with me. She was like, I don't want to live with you anymore. We had to find a new place to live because my lease ran out of my house. So I had no house, no girl, and I was just like in hospital, and like they were giving me morphine for the pain. I was like, fuck it, you know what? I'm gonna start a skateboard company, and I'm gonna call it Heroine, because like I guess it came from a lot of things. Addiction to skateboarding mainly. Sounds a little cheesy to say it out loud, but you know that's what it was. Yeah, I drew this logo with my left hand in hospital, and yeah, never really looked back. Favourite UK skate company other than Heroine, of course. Landscape might be favouritism because I own it, but Death as well is awesome. Like, I love Nick. I would give him a kidney if he needed it. He's one of the greatest human beings, and he's my distributor in the UK. But it's good. I think when I started my brand, Heroine, it was really difficult for people to take you seriously, like wood factories and stuff. Like, I'd have to call, like there was no internet, there was no Instagram. You'd have to call these people and be like, hey, can I talk to Tommy at Watson Laminates or whatever? Hey, I'm doing a brand out of the UK. What are your minimums? They're like 200. You're like, well, that's too many. You know, and it's called Heroine, and they're just like, click, like that's not going to go anywhere. So they had no faith in you. And even just like being a brand from England, it was kind of like really difficult to get in at these factories. Chapman was the sort of first real place that manufactured our stuff, made good stuff for us, really like took the minimums down for us, and they really, really helped me to start with. They were great family, great factory. I highly recommend them if you're on the East Coast, like Chapman. Great wood and great people. But yeah, we're through Baker Boys now. Favourite Heroine, favourite ex-rider? Colin Fisk or Howard Cook. Howard Cook's like my favourite skater for a long, long time. He's awesome. But then I like Chris Pullman too. I like all of them, and I'm on good terms with most of them. So, is there anyone who sent you a sponsor me tape that you regret not hooking up? This is a good question. From Tuna. Yeah, I got a lot of really good tapes, footage links now, not tapes. But there's people that I'm like, oh man, I wish we could have put him on, but we have 20 dudes. So it's really about my commitment to the guys that we have on the team, and that's why, you know, if your friend sent me a tape and I said we're too full, it's because we're too full. It's not because, you know, I didn't like it or whatever. I see a lot of really good skateboarding, but it's just difficult as a small company to hook everybody up. There's a lot of good sponsor me tapes out there, but none spring to mind. I don't have like one dude that got away, you know what I mean? Although maybe the answer to that's Ben Copel. Because he sent me a tape a few years ago and we were talking, but it was at the time I had like 26 riders, so sorry Ben, but you're on blast now, so that's good, you know. Heroine has always had a very eclectic team. What do you look for in a potential team rider? Just individuality, style. I feel very lucky to have been able to do my brand for as long as I have, because it's really my vision of skateboarding. It's like, oh, this guy rules, but no one else is going to go anywhere near him. He's not going to work anywhere else. So that kind of idea works. Or just anyone who's trying to do their own thing. We've got Dearman, who's doing his own thing in Canada, and which is so rad. We've got Chopper in Osaka with the Osaka Daggers, who are just trying to create their own thing. Just like that individuality and freedom to sort of be yourself, I think, is important. Do you have a hard time liking Morrissey, the person, not his music these days? I know I do. Yes, I absolutely do. He has just turned out to be an awful human being. So yeah, I do have a huge problem liking Morrissey. And I used to go and see that idiot all the time, and I've been to some incredible shows that he's said amazing things at. But I don't know where this came from. All of a sudden, this sort of right-wing racist stuff and all this, he's always had a big mouth, but it's just like you didn't really know that this was how he felt about things, and it's kind of troubling, really. So that's unfortunate. How do you select team riders? Do you ask them to ride for you? Usually, do you prefer riders, or do you send videos? Do you prefer riders from the UK, British Commonwealth, or Japan? I'd say country doesn't matter, but it kind of does. Like if we don't have a distributor, for example, in like Israel, then it's going to be difficult for me justify putting you on and sending you stuff, for example. But it's really just about, anyway, if someone sends me a sponsor me tape, it's from Japan, it's, we have a good, like, system over there, everything's, like, hooked up, so that could work. If you're from South Dakota and you've got, interesting stuff going on, I'll take a look at it. But, yeah, just really depends. It's not that I have a preference. I do like Northern England, I'm going to say. It seems most of your boards have a 14.38 or higher wheelbase. What's the deal with that? Some more 14.25s would be nice. Well, that's funny, because I feel... Yeah, we just measured one. We measured the egg, and that, the 9125, that's a 14 and a quarter. So maybe pick that up. But I feel like we have some shorter wheelbases. I do. Yeah, I'm 5'8", so I like a shorter wheelbase. But it's funny, you can never do anything right. Like, there's going to be another question that's like, you don't make wheelbases long enough. I need them 14.75, and it's just like, can't make everyone happy. I had a pretty gnarly wrist injury 15 years back, and I still can't draw quite right. How hasn't it impacted your drawing? What are you trying to say? Yeah, it's funny because my friend French just broke his wrist really badly, and it looks like it's in 8 pieces. It's awful. And I recently was talking to somebody about that, and I was saying how I still have nerve injury. Like, I can't really feel the end of my thumb too well, and in the winter this finger is sort of impacted. It hasn't affected the way I draw, so there is that. But I really believe in physiotherapy. I dislocated my elbow pretty badly, and they said you're never going to have like full movement, and I did all the physio on it as much as I could, and I've got full movement back, so that's good. Your mob collaboration was great. Anything in the works with them? No, but I'm always down to do stuff. I really like mob. I like that grip tape a lot, so yeah, always down to do stuff. Give me a call, Gavin. Cosmic Gypsies. Hello, Cosmic Gypsies. Favourite UK videos, towns, spots, or skaters over the years? Yeah, there's so many. The UK's great. UK videos. Unabomber Head Cleaner was very good. Death Squad the movie. There's so many weird underground ones. Avi, Chris Atherton, I grew up skateboarding with him. He's great. You should look into him if you like odd, eccentric skateboarding. He's a good lad from Lancashire. The Golden Egg, I believe, was his video, and he used to send me all these videos and everything. It was great. Joe Gavin makes incredible videos. He's from Manchester, good northern lad. Yeah, there's a whole lot of interesting stuff going on over there. It's great. Towns, spots. Burnley, shout out to the car park in Burnley, St Peter's, RIP. Christ the King School just blew up a really good spot right there. Yeah, it's just, I don't know, grew up skating in Burnley and Manchester really, so I have a lot of love for those towns. Stockwell Skate Park, obviously. Those, I actually really like Portsmouth and Southsea. There's banks everywhere, so it's always fun to skate there. Yeah, there's so many skateboarders. It's great. I really like the UK scene. Favourite band to come out to the UK aside from the Charlatans, which seems to be a staple of every UK skate video in the mid-2Ks. I only ever used them for one song, and that was the Landscape Big Push, and we used Oh Vanity, and it was Alan Glass, I think, who engineered that, but it's a fantastic song. And if you're going to edit a skate video, I always think of that song as being like the staple video, because it's got the beats really good, it goes fast, it gets slow, it gets epic, so it's a really, really good example of a song to edit to. So there you go. And it introduced Nick Stansfield to Landscape, which was great. He's one of my favourite skaters too. Favourite bands come out to the UK? I'm going to have to say Woo Life. Really, really, really great band. Broke up in 2012, I think. They had an album out, 2010. Saw them all over. Saw them in Manchester, under Bridgewater Hall. I saw them in London. Saw them in San Francisco. Saw them in LA. And I saw them in Coachella. They put me on the list for Coachella, and me and my wife went to see them. Lovely blokes, all from East Lancashire, which is great. And yeah, they're all doing their own projects now. But I really feel like that album is incredible, and to me, they're up with like the Stone Roses and Joy Division and all those bands coming out of the UK, of the Manchester music scene. Stone Roses as well, incredible, love them. Right now I really like Idols, Eagles, Sleaford Mods, Fat White Family. I keep an eye on like what's coming out of the UK. Looking back, would you have done anything differently with Heroine? Regrets in terms of direction, not hooking up certain people? Yeah, there's people I wouldn't have hooked up. And you can figure out who those are if you sort of look back on the history. And I was saying that I'm on really good terms with like 90% of the people who've left my brand for whatever reason. So and a lot of them I can call back up and be like, hey, we want to do a board, like a one-off board or whatever, and it's like, I feel like it's good to leave on good terms a lot of the time, but sometimes other people don't feel that way. They feel kind of slighted about things, the way things went down, so it's unfortunate really, but I don't know. No, I don't have too many regrets, maybe a couple, but there you go. What was your first involvement within the art world, and where did the distinct, almost scratchy style come from? Right, involvement in the art world. It's funny, I don't really feel like I'm in the art world. If we're talking about the skateboard art world, then I used to draw up ideas for brands and be like, it'd be so cool if, like, I don't know, Scarecrow used this or whatever, or Anti-Hero did this, or so I'd pitch these, Spitfire, so I'd pitch all these ideas to people. The first one of those that like worked was Toy Machine. I sent it to Ed at Toy Machine. It was the Arms series, and 1997 I think that was, and he got a fax at Slam where I was working in the UK, and he sent a thing saying, yeah, get FOS to call me, and I was like, I gotta call Ed Templeton, what? So and he was super nice and was like, yeah, we want you to do this series. So did that series. I did a BAM, Alyssa, BA, Maldonado, Ed, Chris Sen. I think that was it. I actually sketched up a Kerry Getz, but he left before that happened. So yeah, that was my first venture into the world of skateboard graphics. And with the money I got from that, I guess I started my own board brand. I guess I started Heroine. So Oh yeah, where does the almost scratchy style come from? Using these pens from Japan, and it was just like a lot of it's a case of trying to write something as quickly as you can to sort of get the essence of the idea across. Just being really excited and sort of writing, and then I used these like pens from Japan, these markers, and they wrote in this really nice flat black ink, like an opaque ink. So like when you scan it, you don't have to sort of mess around with it too much because it writes really flat. And the closest thing nowadays is the Poscas. I think it's the MP3 or something M something 3. And it's these little pens, and like when you drag it across a textured paper, it sort of spits a little bit. So you've got that. So that's where that style came from, I guess. Any graphics you regret looking back at them? Yes, a couple of Heroine ones actually. There's one really bad Heroine one from 2000 or 2001, but you got to start somewhere. Sometimes you put a dud out there. There's a couple of other bad ones, but I don't know. But most of the time, it doesn't go out the door unless I'm pretty happy with it. I try and keep some level of professionalism, you know. As an extension of that, personal favourite board graphics in general. I like Neil Blender's graphics. I like Jim Phillips is incredible. His line work is unbelievable, super professional. Don Pendleton, Todd Francis, Todd Bratrud, Andrew Pommier. Heroton's work is really good. He's been doing stuff for more people lately. There's a lot of really good people working, and it's nice that like we all seem to get along really well. Everyone's like friends. Like Cliver, you know, I texted him a couple of days ago, and you know, like everyone seems to get along nicely. It's a good vibe. Ben Horton's incredible. I like a lot of those people's work. It's always really exciting for me to see new stuff. As a graphic designer, are there any ideas, motifs, designs that you think have been played out? Well, a few years ago, triangles were completely played out. It was like every single logo had to have a triangle. I don't know, Thrasher rip-off t-shirts, it's just kind of done. Yeah, there's a whole bunch of stuff, you know, the whole avocados, yeah, maybe, I don't know, the roses thing, like everyone's doing that streetwear roses, like, I don't know, weed, whatever. It's all a bit played, isn't it? But then what do people go into? It's like it's your brand, and if you can't have a strong enough idea to put something original out, then maybe you shouldn't have a brand, you know? If you have to copy what everyone else is doing. I've always wondered what exactly were the prizes in the Shimizu scratch-off decks in 2012-13. It was another board. So if you won the prize, you got another board. How's life at the cabin? Glorious. It was great. I was there last week for the whole week. It was really nice. Swam in the lake, rode my wife around the lake in our little rowboat. It was so cool. I never want to come back. It's always hard coming back. But I have a big project on, so I'm working on that right now. You've presumably been in the US a long while. What was the biggest cultural shock change when you initially made the move? No English breakfast. It's really difficult going into a supermarket. You feel like you're going into a supermarket in Japan or something, because you're just like, whoa, what is everything? Like, I don't know any of these brands or anything. Like, everything looks kind of familiar, but it's not. Like, the chocolate over here is terrible. It's not even made with chocolate. It's like grease. It's like really bad. So that was hard. But yeah, I miss English breakfasts a lot. That's a tough one. Crumpets. I was thinking the other day. I thought I saw crumpets in the store, and then they weren't. It wasn't them. It was something else. And I was like, I'm going to buy them. I'm going to take them home and cover them in butter and jam, and it's going to be awesome. But no. I miss tea. I don't drink as much tea. I used to drink like mugs and mugs of tea every day, but now I sort of strictly coffee. Just coffee all day long. Keeps the blood flowing. Maybe you'll have already answered this, but in retrospect, was it too harsh to drop Colin Fisk from the team for sending you poetry instead of footage. Do you feel like the hour-long part he released afterwards was in retaliation? No, I feel like we were on great terms, and I don't feel like there is any retaliation for stuff like that. Maybe it was a little harsh, but you got to understand that I work with 20 people, so I work with a lot of riders, and I have this communication where I'm like, can you send me some footage? Most people can. And if you can't, then we're going to have a problem. But if you're sending me footage that's already edited, that cuts out before the tricks are finished, that, just all my requests for footage were met with, hey, here's my writing blog. Can you post about it? Here's my poetry blog. Oh, hey, I've got this bike blog. And I'm just like, dude, come on. Everyone would be a lot happier if you were just skateboarding. So there it is. Love Fisk. Love the guys at Fancy Lad. Big, all you guys, and it's great. Everyone's on good terms. They call me when they come to LA, I'd take them skateboarding. It's nice in that respect, Have you retired those pants? I need to do some more work on them. I've still got them. Should I go and get them?
Yeah.
I'll go and get them. Wait here. Wait right here. You mean these pants? There we go. Does that make you feel better about things?
What kind of jeans are they?
They are Volcom Black Bart jeans, and I actually stitched. They were kind of wide when they came out, and they were a bit too wide. So I stitched the entire seam and made them narrower. I did like every single stitch on these things. So there you go, Barrier Cult. Yeah, Joy Division, Black Flag, Immortal, Punisher, Scarecrow Wheels. Hi Ross. Lots of America, Stay Gold, Misfits. There you go. Yeah, so I haven't retired them, they just need some work. Do you and Skate Talk Bob have funny stories we might not have heard? Yes. Will you ever give up eating candy? Probably not. You see that? All that was from the National Health Service. So you say what you want about socialized medicine, but I find that it works very well if you let it. Which paintings of Cy Twombly resonate with you the most? The Temple of Bacchus, I believe it's called. It's incredible. They used to have it in the Tate Modern in London, and you would go in and it was taking up an entire room, and there were 3 pieces all facing each other, so you felt completely immersed by the piece. I've got it in my Cy Twombly book here. And it's incredible. It's 12-foot high canvases by maybe 20 feet, and it looks like you just took a roller and it's just rolled and rolled and rolled. It's just complete madness. And the colour in it is red. Everything's red. You walk in and you just feel like this red glow resonating in your soul or something. It's wonderful. And it's just incredible. Like, it's just an amazing piece of artwork. Related to Chuck Ramone's question, was it harder for Lee Yanku to get on Heroine due to him being Canadian? Well, no, not really, because we have a fantastic distributor. Hi, Raj. Hi, Sam. That always helps facilitate things. He was a no-brainer. I first saw a photo of him on a Cyrus ad, and I was like, who the hell is this guy? Like, he's so good. Like, he was doing a wall ride above this sort of wall. I think he ollied onto this wall ride, and I was like, that guy's amazing. And I actually met him in San Francisco when I was painting the Deluxe store one time, and he's good friends with a friend of mine. So yeah, it was a no-brainer, really. It was like, if Lee Yanku wants to ride for you, you say yes. He's great. And yeah, it wasn't hard for him to get on at all. Where do you think your sobriety stems from? Parental influence. Has sobriety kept you from befriending certain social circles in skateboarding? Well, it's interesting because I had sort of I had a religious upbringing. I was brought up in a Baptist church in Northern England, and I think my sobriety sort of maybe stemmed from there. But then very early on, I got into straight edge music, so it sort of transitioned from my sobriety in that to it was even more enforced in straight edge music. And then by the time you're like 20 and you've never done any of that stuff, it's just like, well, there's not really any point starting now, you know. And here's how I feel about it. I'm not like straight edge, whatever, X up and all that. And I feel like it's dangerous to label yourself in that way. I feel like it's kind of redundant as well to label yourself, because it becomes part of a silly gang. And then you meet people who are straight edge, and then they end up being horrendous people. And like, oh yeah, we stabbed that guy. You know, you're just like, what the fuck are you doing? So it really, I worry about labels of any kind, and so I don't really label myself anything. But yeah, I have chosen to forego drugs and alcohol, as I would rather focus on more positive things, is my sort of takeaway from that whole scenario. Thanks for asking. No parental influence, by the way. My dad drank, not heavily. My mum drinks, she'll have a glass of wine, whatever. I feel like also growing up in England, you go to London on a Friday night or any major city, and it is like the apocalypse. Everybody is fucking hammered, just falling over, puking, getting into fights, and it doesn't look fun to me. It didn't look fun to me when I was growing up. I was like, no, I'm just going to focus on more positive things. So there you go. And it's interesting because now it holds no sway over me whatsoever. It's no power, because I've never done it. I've never drank, and I've never contributed anything towards the drug or alcohol industry, which I feel is quite a sort of nice place to have been, you know. Did the Queen have Princess Diana killed? I don't think the Queen per se had Princess Diana killed. There might have been some other people involved. How do you like your coffee? Black as midnight on a moonless night. Are you still involved with landscape? Yes. Baker and Deathwish. I freelance for them from time to time. How do you feel about all the attention the UK scene is getting from big shoe companies? I wasn't really aware of it, but it's good. The UK scene is getting any footage, any coverage, then that's great. Oh, I did see the Mike Arnold Deluxe thing. That was good. Favourite heroin shape? I really like the Big Egg, and it's going to be hard for me to go away from that. But I am working on a new shape that I'm skating right now, and is really functional. And I can't say anything more about it till Halloween, but it's really good. If you want to see it, come and skate G-Park with me. Best chopper story? Oh wow, so many. I just like the fact that I'd go to Japan and I'd try and film with him, and I'd be like, and he'd be skating to the spot, and we'd skate down the street, and he'd do like a backside 360 boneless off a curb cut, and then he'd do like a nollie flip, and then he'd do like a tailslide shove it, and you're like, dude, that line was amazing. Can we refilm that? And he's like, I can't remember what I did. And he's like, I'm like, what? And he's like, well, you did that and that and that. He's like, oh, yeah, really? I don't know. I was just skating. So that's good. And then Chopper's awesome, man. He's so rad. And you go and see him in Japan, and he'd be watching a Christian Hosoi 1990 tour video, and then he'd have like the Mouse video on VHS, like, and he's like, oh yeah, it's still in the packet. I haven't got around to watching it yet. Like, it's still in the cellophane. It's so rad. What happened to Chris Pullman? Is he okay? Not on Instagram anymore. He's like my favourite skater, says Mark Renton. Alright, Red Boy. Alright. Chris Pullman, is awesome and one of my favourite skaters too. You have good taste in skateboarding. He moved back to Wales, so you know what they say, if all else fails, try Wales. That's from Twin Town. He moved. I don't know if he's okay. I got an email from him last week and he seems cool and he's been skating with his kid. His kid's into skating, so that's rad. The skateboard industry, let me tell you about the skateboard industry. The industry in America is 40 people who run the entire industry. In England, it's less than 10 people. So he probably just got burnt out on the whole industry and running a company. It's hard, man. It's a hard graft. You know, and I respect anyone who does it, you know. It's not easy. Best of luck to you, you know. He's not on Instagram anymore. I mean, it's just a choice, isn't it? There's people who choose to not live their lives on this weird little approval box thing. So good for him. But he's okay. He's skating and, you know, emailed him last week. So thanks for asking. Chris is great. Which band is that Keep Moving song from? The Heroine Battle of Normandy. Though I've been searching for it for 7 years now. Interesting. I used to go and see this band of Japanese kids in London in the late 90s, and they were called Dokudango. Dokudango in Japanese, see, I speak a little bit, means poison rice ball. I would go and see this band and I was like, dude, you guys are so rad. Like, it's like, I love seeing you. I don't even know if you're singing in English or Japanese, but just the energy and the whole thing is so sick. And they were like, oh, cool. Oh, that's so rad. We're glad that you like our band. I was like, yeah, no, just let me know whenever you guys play. I'll definitely come and see you. And it was so much fun going to their shows. It was like this weird, like, kid Daisuke who I'm friends with. And then I got a phone call like, hey, we're rehearsing tonight. You want to come? And I was like, what? That's a bit weird, but okay. Yeah, I'll come and see you guys. I'm a fan, you know. So I go to the recording studio and I'm like, their rehearsal studio. And I was like, oh yeah, you guys are sick. Play this one song, yeah. Blah, blah. And then they were like, hey, you want to try and sing a song? And I was like, this is a bit weird, but yeah, okay. I was like, I don't know. I don't know if you sing in English or Japanese. And they were like, well, we sing in English. I'm like, I don't know. So they like write out the lyrics and they give me a song and I'm like, okay, I'll try and sing it. And then after this, like, we're messing around, and then by the end of it, they were like, hey, you want to join the band? And I was like, that's what this was. It was kind of a setup. And I was like, never done anything like this in my life before. I've never had any musical aspirations. I've never done anything like, you know, I don't even understand what notes are or chords or any of that. And I was like, fuck it, why not? And it was my friend Tamsin told me this thing. And she said, if you talk to a kid who's like 3 or 4 years old and you're like, hey, can you play the piano? They're like, yeah. And they're like, play the piano. Can you dance? They're like, yeah. They'll start dancing. Can you do that? Yeah. But then if you talk to a kid who's 10 years old and you're like, hey, can you play the piano? They're like, no, you know, and can you dance? No, not really. And it's sort of bred out of us, this sort of childlike innocence. And I wanted to be more like the kid who was like 3 or 4 years old. And I was like, fuck it, yeah, why not? Let's do it. And I'd like to think I have that approach to a lot of stuff in my life. And I feel like it's a nice way to live if you can, you know, and if it works. I hope that makes sense. A fan of train spotting? Yes, I am. Train spotting board series soon. Well, I better leave that guy to the boys at Focus, I think. The Smiths one was fabulous. Thank you, that was good. We've talked about that. Did you scream in the hallways in middle school? We don't have a middle school. I went from Balladin County Primary School to Bacup and Rawtenstall Grammar School, which was like a workhouse. It was like a Victorian prison. It was awful. I hated school. Hi FOS. First of all, thanks for calling an ambulance for me the day I dislocated my shoulder at Stockwell and didn't have a phone. You're welcome. Could you let us know the craziest, funniest, most memorable things you got down at Stockwell? Oh yeah. Do you remember some of the non-skating locals from there? How about the kid Mandem? I don't remember Mandem. I remember a lot of craziness. I spent a lot of time at Stockwell. I would go down to Stockwell before it got resurfaced and it was red. So it was like really rough cement. And it was me, Mac McMullen, Ruben, Jono, and there was seriously like Howard. There was 10 people would go there. It was so rough. And we were running like 45mm wheels because it was the only thing the skate shops sold. It was gnarly. Like I'd be like, hey, I'm going to Stockwell. And people were like, dude, what are you doing? It's so gnarly down there, you'll get robbed. And I'm like, I'm from Manchester, I don't care. I'm from Lancashire. Like, we're tough up there. And I never had any trouble. I lived in New Cross. Like, people were like getting robbed with people out of the bushes with axes. And I never had any trouble there, I love New Cross. Yeah, so there's some crazy stories. But my friend Simon at Stockwell ran into this kid on a bike, or this kid on the bike ran into him. And then they got into it a little bit, and the kid was like, where's my apology? He's like, what, fuck off. And the kid pulled out nunchucks. He pulled out some nunchucks on my friend, and everyone in the park just crowded around and was like, what are you doing? Get the fuck out of here. Basically kicked this kid out, I miss Stockwell. I miss skating there with Pullman, and we had this challenge. There was a little board slide bar, and we'd do the front side board slide shove, and the first one who made it the other one had to buy the cups of tea and like nata from the Portuguese cake shop. So cool. Such a good time. What are your favourite graphics you've done for other brands? Antoine Dixon, Death Wish, Frankie Villani Primitive, Toy Machine, Arms, definitely. What are your least favourite ones? I didn't really like I did some stuff for Jamie, and it was when we were trying to, Garrett Hill was trying to do a company, and I didn't really like that stuff that we did. It was kind of not really what I wanted to do, but it was, it was what it was. Do you think Heroine would be where it is if you weren't still in the UK? No, I don't. We're doing this interview in Eagle Rock, East Los Angeles, and I definitely think it's helped to be in Los Angeles. What's your favourite shape? I'm riding this new shape that comes out on Halloween. It's called the Rain Dog. I'd show it, but it's in the car. And it's got the razor top all the way around. It's really nice. And I can't show it because I'm riding the first rendition of it. But we're working towards a second. Like, I'm supposed to pick up the samples today. So the second sample is going to be a little different. So it's not really productive to show the unfinished sample. If you could get anyone, who would you get to ride? I'm assuming for Heroine. Frankie Villani. If you could collab with anyone, who would it be? Person and brand. Tom Waits. Brand. Maybe Independent Trucks. I like what they do. I like Spitfire too. Maybe them. Be nice to do something like off kilter. Like something completely aside from all that. Like do a motorcycle that's like one of those battery powered ones, like Zero or Cake or whatever. Those brands are pretty cool. So maybe something like that would be rad. We did a beer. Yeah, I did a graphic for a beer company, ABC, another beer company. I don't know, maybe a coffee brand too. Any collabs, psychedelic, that you could talk about? Yeah, I did some psychedelic stuff. That's coming up. Might be out. I'm not sure. I don't know where we're at with all that stuff. I just make stuff, and then I just do the graphics and send stuff, and then it'll come out like way down the line. I'm like, oh, that came out rad. Thank you for all the glow in the dark stuff. Hey, it's my pleasure. I mean, I think we're all 15-year-old kids deep down, aren't we, really? Favourite UK hardcore bands of the 90s and 2000s? Wow, that's a good question. 2000s. I actually really like that band Hard Skin. I don't really think they constitute as a hardcore band. There were so many. I'd go to hardcore shows like every single week when I was at college from like 1993 till 1997. And it was rad. It was like living in London. Like I got paid to live in London and go to art school for 4 years. It was a really good place right then. And I feel it's really sad that nowadays that like education costs so much money, and I think it's fundamentally wrong. I don't think we should, that if you decide to get yourself an education, that you should come out $200,000 in debt. I think it's heartbreaking, really, to be honest. And that needs to change. What is your inspiration for the art style Heroine leads towards? Well, I don't know. It's like this. I wake up in the morning and I have a sketchbook and I'll draw something out and it usually looks like a Heroine graphic. And I tend to try and do stuff that like involves my team riders or makes fun of them or has some sort of involvement that people have sort of an interest in, or I have an interest in, you know. So you recently did a collaboration with Texas Chainsaw Massacre, which was amazing. Who would you want to collaborate with next? Chainsaw Massacre 2. Or Hills Have Eyes. Hills Have Eyes would be tight. Yeah, I like that film. FOS, you're a legend. Always good to reply on Insta. Yeah, I always try and, I feel like it's rude not to, really. Ever been to Canada? Yes, I have. I went to see Deerman and had an art show there. Also, outside of Lee Yanker and Drew Merriman, who's your favourite Canadian? There's this girl skater called Shari White who's good, and then I like Depth Leviathan Dweller too. What's your perfect setup? I want everything included in dimensions. Okay. I really like the Big Egg. It's 9125. Feels more, because it tapers, it's wide in the middle, it tapers, it feels more like an 875 or an 8625. I like that, or an 875 with the razor top and with Mob Grip and Indy 169s, Powell Swiss, and Spitfire Formula 4 in like 53, 54, 55. That's my perfect setup. On riser pads. 1/8 of an inch riser.
What's that the wheel?
Oh, the shape, skinny as you can get. I don't like those big fat cone ones or whatever. Keep it skinny on the wheels, guys. Like thin as you can get. If you're using good urethane, you don't have to have them like really fat and wide. You can make them narrower. So, and usually a set of those lasts me like 6 months or something. If you could steal a crooked rider, Ronnie Sandoval, who would it be? Please tell us a good Craig Questions anecdote. Oh, dude, like the Craig Questions thing. I just love the fact he's got "fuck art school" tattooed on him. I think that's fantastic. Favorite horror movie of all time? Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Pretty straightforward answer. It's incredible, that film. You just watch it and you feel like you're in Texas in August. It's like so uncomfortable the whole way through. It's rad. Where do you get your ideas from? Coffee and Tom Waits albums. What do you think of Witchcraft Hardware? I loved them. French is my homie. I like him. It's good stuff. This will be good. Best Tony Carr, Adrian Madrid, P. Franks, Craig Question stories. Do you have Lunchables that the idea Anaya band The Bots was on? Also, Nick Rod is the truth, and more people need to know that. Well, Tony Carr, Adrian, and P. Franks don't write for us anymore. Craig Question stories. How about this? He was at art school and he was collecting skulls. And he was walking home from art school one day and he saw a dead cat in an alleyway. And he was like, I don't have a cat's skull. I need a cat's skull. So he went back with a steak knife and he cut the cat's head off. But the cat was all like rotted and had maggots in it and stuff. So he went back to his dorm room and with a dead cat's head and started boiling it in a pot of water. And people were coming in and just like, what the fuck are you doing? Like dying and just like, you can't do that. Like dead cat rot soup like bubbling in this pot, and Yeah, I always like that story. And that is why the big boy that we drew in his boards has a cat's head on a plate. It's one of my favourite stories about Craig. There's so many. Every time you see him, there's a story. Not really a question, but go tell him to do some more Yankee Final Dance of Death boards printed and make some of those roots graphic in an 8 or an 825. You know what? That's a funny point because I don't have a Yankee Final Dance of Death board because we sold out and I neglected to put one aside. So that's the only one in that series that I don't have. So if you can see one, maybe grab it and put it aside because who knows, maybe it's going to be worth something in years. Or maybe not. Thanks for all you have done for UK skating for us. You're very welcome. It's nice to be appreciated. You're a legend. Portraits is truly a classic. Well, I appreciate that, and I seeing as you brought portraits up, yeah, that was a really great one. That was Chris Massey's sort of vision was right there, and I feel really proud that I contributed that to skateboarding. And it's funny because Tony Wilson from Factory Records from Manchester said that you can sort of nitpick and you can talk about people all day long about what they've done, what they should have done. He said at the end of the day, I signed the check that paid for Joy Division's Atmosphere to get made. And I feel a little that way about portraits. I signed the check that got that paid for, that got that made. So I feel pretty proud about that, to be honest. So thanks. I'm glad people remember that video. I appreciate that. What happened to landscape? Joe Gavin just put a video out, and we just really wanted to focus it on the UK, and just let it be a UK sort of thing. Do you have any involvement with it anymore? No, well, yeah, I sort of own it and run it, but I really just wanted to sort of hand it off to someone. Where is Joey Crack these days? Busking, playing music, and doing shows and things. I think he's under CM Craven for some reason on Instagram, so you can follow him. Best food joint in New Cross. Goldsmith's Cafe is good, but there's all these new ones now. So it's hard. I'm going to have to say Thailand. The Thai place is banging. Scratch that. Monsoon. It's my favourite Indian. It's good. Hey Khan. How did Dearman get on the team? Do you skate with him much? Any wild stories about the Baku guys? Not really. They've got their own wild stories. John Rattray sent me a digital versatile disc of the Barrier Cult Horde video, and me and Alan Glass watched it religiously, or anti-religiously maybe, for a while, and that's what gave us the inspiration and like that and a Japanese video, the Infection video, made us realise that we could do things our own way and we didn't sort of really have to follow what anyone else was doing. And we just made Live from Antarctica, and it was inspired by Baku and the Osaka Daggers Infection. And then we started communicating with them, talking to the Barrier Cult, and they were like, yeah, and Dearman was like down and ended up writing for us, and still does, and he's awesome, and really like that guy. Did you like Blueprint? Not really. Blueprint didn't say that much to me about my life. I guess that's why I started my own thing. I like all the writers. I was friends with all the writers. I didn't think, and people are just like, oh, he's talking shit, whatever. But it's like, my opinion, and it's like, I didn't think the graphics were that interesting, and people sort of remember them so fondly and like through these like rose tinted glasses, I think. And I'm like, dude, a bunch of streetlights, really? Is that interesting to kids? Guess not. So that's my take on that. Best skate spot in the UK. I mean, I like Stockwell Park. It's a good spot. I really like this bank to wall. It's like a narrow bank to wall in London, near Smithfield's near the meat market. It's in the financial district, and I can't remember what street it's on. But it's this bank to wall, and everyone hates it. I really like it. I think it's really fun. I do a trick in my video part from 2002. So who knows if it's even there anymore. That's my favourite spot. Do you still own landscape? Yes, says Morning Commute. How do you feel about the company losing momentum when you moved to America? Yeah, I just think, I don't really think it was about me per se, because I didn't do that much. It was always supposed to be sort of Snowy's deal, and I was going to give it over to him, but he didn't really sort of take it and run with it. Heroin's something that I live and breathe, every day, and I think landscape would need something like that to happen. And Joe's been doing a really good job of it. They just put a video out, but yeah, that was my take on it. Correct me if I'm wrong, but when you got to the States, Snowy oversaw landscape, yep, until Joe Garvin took the reins. What point did you step back from landscape? Do you regret not focusing on the company more? No, because there's only so much that I can do. Now that it's slowed down, given that it must have been the top-selling UK brand at some point and was highly influential in the early 2000s. Yeah, I appreciate that, and it's good that people remember it fondly like that. But it is what it is, and I think things almost have their time. But it's not really down to me, and it was never really my thing. I was the one pushing the graphics and the ads and things like that, but it was always supposed to be somebody else leading it, So no, I don't have any regrets about it and where it is. Ha! One of my all-time favourite shirts, but I know nothing about it. What's the story with this one? I have a story about that. Let me try and find a sketchbook to illustrate that. Concerned Parent, good name. Somewhere in here is the answer to your question about that t-shirt. What's the story with it? Landscape, for everybody asking, just some little sketches. Oh, look at that. Right onto Beverly, left onto Lacianica. Don't even know what that was. Oh, here we go. Wow, bingo. First sketchbook I looked through. Okay. I had this idea for Altamont that I wanted to do a horror series shirts. Well, they sort of pitched it, and then I sort of pitched it back, and it was like, we want to do a horror series. I was like, dude, you're speaking my language. That's what I love. What I did was sketch out a bunch of fictitious horror movies that I thought fitted into a genre and could have been a movie from that time. And this I drew on the way to Vegas one day. So these are all the little sketches that I did. Heads on Sticks became a t-shirt. No. So it evolved, I guess, from Brain Eaters, whatever that is, and then to I Want to Eat Your Brain. Yep, and that was the Worm Food, and that was pretty much how that one turned out. It's just it can be a little postage stamp sized drawer. I was driving to Las Vegas for the first time with Bill Conrad, and I was all stoked, and he was bummed because I don't drink. He was like, Justin's sending me to Vegas with a fucking guy who doesn't drink. And I'm like, oh, great, I've got this for 5 hours. But we ended up being really good mates after that. It was funny. He's a real sweetheart. Puts on a tough act, but he's a good bloke. Oh, I Will Eat Your Brains, I suppose. That was the original sketch for that. What it was, I was trying to have different horror genres represented by each of the t-shirts. Like I Want to Eat Your Brain, it said Alberto Cantalini's. It was like inspired by Lucio Fulci's Zombie Flesh Eaters, or Zombie as it's called in America. So it was supposed to be that zombie genre of the Italian like zombie movies, which is great. You should see Zombie if you haven't already, by the way. It's got a shark fighting a zombie, which is pretty amazing. And then Worm Food was supposed to be more like a late 80s like gore film. And then Heads on Sticks was supposed to be more like Cannibal Holocaust, Cannibal Ferox, like that sort of vibe to it. So yeah, that's where the inspiration for those t-shirts came from. Thanks for asking. If I was to abbreviate my name like you, should I abbreviate to Lut, Utz, or ZKA? Oh, this is a good question, Craig Lutzka. Probably Lut. Least favourite part about current day skateboarding? I don't know, there's a lot of silliness, isn't there? I mean, there's always problems. You could always be like, oh, I don't like everyone doing pressure flips or whatever, but I don't know, who cares? It's skateboarding, really. There are things you're just like, oh, this is all a bit silly, but maybe those things don't last a long time. What was it like working with Jamie Thomas and Zero and going over to Altamont and working with the boss? Cool. Awesome. It's rad to work with all of those people, Just kind of an honour. What do you think of current day Altamont? Any beef with them still using your logos and whatnot? No, because I got paid for those logos, so I'm pretty good with it. Yeah, current day Altamont. I don't know. I mean, I feel like they're just trying to get back to where it was, but I don't know. I haven't spoken to anyone there in 6 months, so it's funny. It's like odd that my graphics are all over their site, but they don't really have any contact with me at the moment. And there's no beef or anything. It's just like, give me a call if you need me to do stuff. My ex-boyfriend, says Gay, is a huge, very serious 2000 AD Judge Dredd fan. And for his birthday, I bought him that series that you guys put out. He's got all of them hanging in his tattoo shop and he's quite proud of them. So I'd have to say you guys nailed it. Thank you very much. I was wondering if you could share a little bit about that. Did you drive that? They're beautiful decks. Yes, they are amazing because Brian Bolland did the artwork. I read 2000 AD from about the age of 12 or 13, and I still would if my local newsagent would be able to deliver it. It's great, and it's brought out some incredible talent. Like a lot of the artists who work in Marvel and DC nowadays are from 2000 AD. And it's an amazing British, weird, quirky comic book. And I did drive it. Yeah, I sort of reached out to them through a mutual friend, and I was like, look, I want to do a 2000 AD series, a Judge Dredd series. And they were like, look, you can do anything in 2000 AD. What do you want to do? And I was like, the Dark Judges, spread. Because I remember buying that comic, and it came in, and as I was reading it, it was just like this spread of the 4 judges. And I was like, that's what I want to do. I knew immediately, that was the series of boards. So, yeah, it was cool working with them, and yeah, everything's that was a real blast, and I've got one in my office, so really stoked on that. Thanks. Texas Chainsaw Massacre or The Exorcist? I would have to go with Texas Chainsaw. Favourite flavour of ice cream? Now we're getting somewhere. I really like mint chocolate chip, especially from Jenny's ice cream, and see, you open a can of worms right now. That's not my favourite flavour, can of worms, but yeah, I know a lot about ice cream. Carmela's was voted the best chocolate ice cream in America, but I really like their mint chocolate chip. They have mint with cocoa nibs, which is really good. Jenny's Savannah Buttermint is pretty amazing. I really like Choco Tacos. It's something we can't get in England. I like the Ben & Jerry's, the pint slices are good. Favourite flavour of Ben & Jerry's might be the Tonight Dough, or I like Chunky Monkey. Could seriously talk about ice cream for like an hour, as you can probably tell. I like affogatos too, like a vanilla with an espresso dumped over the top. That is my jam. Favourite Disney movie? I don't really mess with Disney. I don't know. Does Empire Strikes Back count? Because maybe. What was your worst slam? This wrist. You can watch the Good Shit video from 1999 if you want, and it shows the pins getting pulled out. And this was that slam was the reason I started my brand. What happened to Howard Cook? He lives in Liverpool. He has kids. I email him about once a year. He's awesome. Have you ever shit your pants? honestly can't remember. Yeah, probably, yeah. Can't really remember, so that's maybe a good thing. What invert is the best invert? I do like a frontside invert. Yeah, frontside invert. What's the coolest trick you saw go down in person? Howard Kirk, Ghost Skateboarding Day, 2004. Ollie at Meanwhile. I filmed it and he ollied over the out of this really janky sort of wooden quarter over the rail, and it was funny because he was like kept trying it, and he was trying this really long run up all the way along the flyover. He'd ollie, and you could tell that the ramp had been rained on, so it was really shitty wood. And I told him to try it on like the left side because the ramps, it didn't seem to have been that much water damage, and as soon as he did that he like popped over, and it was a Spitfire rad, and Rich Hart shot the photo and I filmed the video. That was probably the raddest thing, but there's been a lot of stuff, you know. What's up with the cannoli story? It's not really a story, it's just kind of an obsession that I had for a while. I get obsessed with things, and I just happened to live near an Italian bakery, and I was like, oh, like those cannoli things are pretty good. I'd never had one, my wife bought me one. I was like, they're pretty good, like have them with a black coffee for breakfast. It's like, it's not bad. And I got into this sort of habit, I get into habits pretty bad, maybe it's good that I don't drink, that I'll go there, I'll be like, oh, I'm kind of craving a cannoli, and I'll go there for breakfast, you know, and I'll go there for breakfast 4 days a week. So it just got a little much, and I just started like trying to cut down on it, and then I was like, you know what, I'm not gonna have this anymore because it's weighing up on me, it's adding up on me. So I jumped to this diet called Whole30 where I lost like 20 pounds, and yeah, I sort of eased up on the cannolis, but I can have one now if I want one. It's like, that's how it is. Okay, cannoli. One ex-team rider back on there. Who would you pick up and why? Probably Casper. Good homie. He's a good kid. He's on a tear as well. Or maybe Pullman. Pullman's the man. Forever Rain by Boris Johnson or Donald Trump. Ugh, that's like, would you want to cut your left hand off or your right hand off? They're both fucking terrible human beings. I probably have to go with Boris. You know, although I hope he gets hit by a satellite. Do you still go to the shooting range regularly? Not as much as I used to. I used to go like every other week. I used to like walk into the gun club and be like, oh, what's up, Mario, Esther, like Alonso? But yeah, not as much as I used to. Bullets are expensive. Favourite UK skater? Howard Cook. Candy. This just popped into my head. Those blackcurrant and licorice sweets, really good. Just popped into my head, so maybe it's that. Food, dish or item? English breakfast from Cafe North in Manchester. Spot. We've done this a little bit, but let's go BBC Banks in Manchester, or Christ the King in Burnley, maybe. Good school. You should check it out. Blowing it up right now. Band or artist from the UK? Really like Idols right now. If we say favourite, would you count Nick Cave? Because he lives in the UK, but he's lived there for like 20 years, so maybe. If you could ride one board shape for the rest of your life, what would it be? That one. Because I rode 5 in a row last summer and was just like, yeah, I love this board. Why does Craig hate Instagram so much? I don't know. I think he found it like to be like a popularity contest or something, and he's just like, he'll get on for a morning and be like, I hate it, I don't know why I signed up, this is everything that's wrong in skateboarding. He has a point, maybe it is, I don't know, but I find it good to communicate with people, and as a tool to sort of, it's like free advertising for your brand. So there's positive things to it, and if you just don't get weighed up in all the bullshit, then it's pretty good. Lastly, I want to say I love your art, and Heroine is the best brand out right now. You've got taste. Thank you. 666. So I was asked who was my favourite skater. which is a tricky one because a lot of people ask my favourite UK skater, and I always go back to the Howard Kirk or Chris Pullman thing. But like, of all time, my favourite skaters are, well, I always really like Sean Young. He's my favourite. But then I have these, like I just bought a Tim Jackson board. I really like Tim Jackson as well. His Risket part was incredible. But then you've got like, I don't know, Crazy Eddie and like all these kind of weird, quirky, like offbeat characters. And I like them, like Blender's great. Eric Dressen is the reason I skate. I saw a demo in my hometown in like probably 1988 or 89, and he's probably like, that's solidified me as a skateboarder, and he's like my homie. I was actually going to call him right before I started this interview, so him. But yeah, Sean Young, I think, is one of my favourites. A lot of skateboards come out, and but this is my holy grail of skateboards. Like, I rode one of these that I bought off my friend, and he bought it off Sean Young outside FTC in 1995. Yeah, 1995. And so I rode this for like, I rode this board years ago, and it was like when all boards were like 7.5 and 775, and this is 838, and it seemed huge. Like, we didn't even have trucks that fitted on it at the time. So yeah, this is like my holy grail of skateboards. Like, managed to pick it up a few years ago. So, you know, I know I bought a Tim Jackson board, but I really feel like maybe I just need a dressing board and then I'm done as far as the collection thing. I'm not trying to get like all these boards. I've got a closet full of skateboards, so it's really just, I feel happy with this. Sean Young, favourite skater. That's it, we're done. Alright, that was my Slap Pals questions. Thanks for having me, everyone. It wasn't too grueling. You can hit me up on Instagram if you've got any more pertinent questions that absolutely need answering, I guess. But yeah, you know where I'm at. I'm skateboarding at Galvanza usually, so thanks for all the questions. I appreciate it. I appreciate that everyone wasn't too awful and just called me a dickhead, but